Welcome to our 9th video in our series on How to K2. My name is Chris Geyer, and today I'm going to be talking about the Environment Library. The K2 Environment Library was designed to contain all of the settings that are specific to each of the software lifecycle environments. The Environment Library is initially populated during install, and administrators then create different environments and tailor them to the organization's needs. Let me show you how we do that. As an administrator, I can go into the K2 workspace in the management area and edit all of the environment library settings. In this case, I want to go into the environments and add a new environment. This one we'll call UAT for our user acceptance testing area. I click OK, and now I can go back in and refresh. That will allow me to see and edit that one. Just right-click on the environments and select Refresh. As we expand it back out, I see that UAT is now there, and as I expand that out, I can see that I can drill in and edit all of the environment fields. At this point, K2 has created for me all of the various categories. Now I simply need to edit those and provide them with specifics. So let's highlight the SharePoint site URL, edit it, and add in the field value. In this case, I'm going to specify a SharePoint site that is to be used for this entry. In this case, it's moss.denalix.com/UAT. At this point, I have created a new environment and given one of the environment variables a value. I would then go through each one of those and add them as appropriate. Once created, I can then make use of those environment library objects inside of my processes. I can go into the object browser and edit the entries, or I can go in and create new ones. So as I go into the object browser and I right-click on my SharePoint servers, I can click Add New Field and add a new entry for a specific URL, specific server, etc. In this case, we'll call one management site and give it a URL that can then be reused throughout any one of my processes. There we go. Now I can use that at any point in time. Making use of the items in the environment library is very easy to show. Let's take a SharePoint list items event and drag that onto our screen. And as the wizard pops up in a second here, you'll see how I can use that very easily. Let's go and create a list item, select Next, and we see the URL for the SharePoint site, the default one in there, so let's get rid of that one and select one that we've already created, my RFC site. So add that there and click Test so we can make sure that it connects successfully. You can see that it did, and to show you that it's actually connecting and doing something, let's browse for our lists. And we can see it return the ones that are in that site that I've specified. You may not see all of your environment library modifications show up right away. This is because we have optimized some of the client-server traffic by putting into place some offline cache. However, you may force a refresh, which will rebuild your cache and reflect these changes. To do so, all you need to do is from the object browser access the Nodes drop-down menu and select Refresh. Of course, no feature discussion would be complete without talking about some level of security for it. There is basic security for the environment library that can be found in the Web Management Console. Security can either be applied to the templates or it can be applied to individual environments. So let's go in and add a couple of security permissions. We'll do a search and find K2 student and K2 developers. And we'll give the K2 student modify rights and the group K2 developers read-only rights. I'll go ahead and save this. And to show you that this is only applicable to the development environment, I'll slip over to the production environment, and you'll see that the K2 student is the only one that has permissions to that environment. And flipping back to the development environment, I see, once again, my two groups. A quick point of note on this is when you're modifying the permissions for the environment library, you must make sure that when you're changing them, you add yourself with modify rights first. Once you apply security permissions to the environment library, they're exclusive. So if you go in and you add in a couple of developers to read-only, now no one has the ability to modify rights. I actually got bit by this a couple of times while making this video. To summarize, the environment library is a design time tool. When you export or deploy, the values are copied to string table values. This means that in effect, the environment library does not exist at runtime, so any changes that are made are for design time and will only be reflected upon the next deployment of the solution. However, as you're seeing on the screen, you are able to modify the string table values using the K2 workspace. Simply change the string table in the management console and you will not need to redeploy. However, if the deployment target, K2 server or MOS document library has changed, then you must change it in the process and redeploy. Well, that's going to do it for today. I appreciate your listening. Thank you very much.